I'd like to call the meeting to order. This is the meeting of the Arts and Culture Commission of Edina. And I'd like to start by asking for the roll call.
Commissioner Chaffee? Here. Commissioner Chen? Here. Commissioner Ellis? Here. I'm Cheryl Gunnis. Commissioner Lappin? Commissioner Lavalure?
Here.
Commissioner Meifert?
Here.
Commissioner Miller?
Here.
Commissioner Osman? Commissioner Suko?
Here.
Commissioner Zabala?
Here.
Thank you. Next, I would like a motion for the approval of the meeting agenda.
I move we approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I also would now like the approval of the consent agenda. Could I have a motion for an approval of the consent agenda?
I so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We need to approve the regular meeting minutes from February 25th and the April 12th joint meeting of the Arts and Culture Commission and the Park Board. Could I have a motion to approve those two minutes from those two dates?
I move to approve those two dates, the minutes from each.
A second.
Is there any questions, discussions, corrections? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We have two relatively new members with us today. They've been with us for over a couple of months, but I just thought it would be wonderful for all of us to have a chance to hear from them as we start doing more regular meetings. So I'd like to call on Member Chaffee first.
Hi, my name is Stella Chaffee, and I'm excited to be part of the Arts and Culture Committee. I was interested because my parents have been always valued the performing arts and fine arts. My mother is actually a Chinese artist, and growing up with that, I wanted to bring the same to both my children and the community I work in and serve in.
Thank you and welcome. We're glad to have you. Now I would like to introduce Member Zabala.
Chair Miller, thank you. Members of the Commission, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be a new member on the Arts and Culture Commission. I'm an opera singer and classical concert vocalist throughout the United States and abroad. I'm an associate professor of music at the University of Minnesota and a relatively new resident in Edina. And like you, I grew up with a great value placed on the arts, visual art, literature, and music, of course. And this is something that I'm not only trying to live and espouse and encourage my students and my own children to live in their daily lives, but I also, of course, value that on a profound level for myself as well as the society and culture I live in here in the state of Minnesota, in the country, and in the world.
Thank you very much. You're a great addition to this commission, and we welcome you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is community comment. Seeing no one else here, I think we can move on. Let's move on to then reports and recommendations. And I've asked several members of the commission if they would give us brief reports, even though they have handed in written reports. It would be interesting to hear what we've been doing in the past few months and what to look forward to this summer. So we'll start with the Grandview update. That's Director Fry.
Thank you, Chair Miller. I'm Michael Fry. I'm the staff liaison to the Arts and Culture Commission, and I'll give you an update on what happened at City Council's May 17th meeting. We were a bit later in the agenda, so I think Ann Catry, the Director of Parks and Recreation, presented Victor Paciotti of HGA Architects at about 5 minutes to 10 o'clock that evening. And we went through the summary report that the total report is online for those individuals that would like to visit edinaminnesota.org for the 93-page report on Grandview and the work that the task force had completed. The last Grandview task force meeting was May 5th, and then the report was created after that. City Council had heard from the transportation group previous to the Grandview Task Force study, and their work is not quite complete, but it's really important to incorporate the transportation study into the Grandview area. So the transportation study had presented earlier in the evening. Victor Paciotti presented information about the site plan and the drawings that you had seen previously of the building incorporating a new arts and culture facility, a new arts center at about 20,000 square feet, a new active adult center, which formally we refer to as the senior center, and then recreation and fitness facility. We also included an event center, which would incorporate flexible seating, stage for performances, dance, music performances, things of that nature, and it would have retractable seating. The overall price tag of the building was $45 million, a little bit over $45 million, and about $14.5 million of that was the underground parking structure. The building needed to have support parking. It's a site that is 3.3 acres at the Grandview former Public Works site. As you remember, the civic portion is on the north portion of that particular site. So after hearing the presentation from Sutton and Associates, Victor Paciotti of HGA and Associates, and Mike Svets was here from Pros Consulting of Indianapolis. He presented the pro forma information. City Council made a decision to receive the document and to not take any action at that time. They mentioned a couple of things. The price tag made a lot of people nervous. They felt that they still needed to wait for the final transportation study to come in. And then the school district also has some information about the parking garage in the Grandview area. The school district has purchased land for a new bus garage, and so the old bus garage may come up for sale at that time, which may affect the site and what is to go on that site. They gave very thoughtful comments, and the final decision was just to accept and receive the study, the 93-page study. They did talk about having a work session at some point in 2016 if there is time to talk about Grandview further, but no decisions were made by council. So,
Thank you.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
So when is the transportation study supposed to be completed, Michael? Do you know offhand?
I think this month sometime. So it was coinciding with the end of the Grandview facility feasibility and study. So I would imagine it is complete by now, but there was only a brief summary presented on May 17th. They probably have a longer presentation at some point.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Fry. Before we go on to the next reports, I would like to welcome Commissioner Dana Lappin. Thank you for joining us. It's okay. We're glad you made it. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the Public Arts in Edina. And Commissioner LaFleur, would you like to make a presentation?
Indeed, I would. I am so thrilled to share with commissioners and also with the public that The new sculpture exhibit is almost like 98% complete. It will be complete by tomorrow afternoon. We had 3 installations yesterday at Grandview Square in the pouring rain, I might add, over a several-hour period. The sun came out eventually. And then today we had the last 3 on the promenade installed, and one of them needs a little bit of lift work. So the incredibly wonderful and helpful people from Public Works will be helping us out with a larger machine tomorrow to lift some heavy rocks for the sculpture. And then the last one at 50th and France was installed this morning. I just invite the public and also all of you, obviously, to please take a walk to these 3 different locations. I'm really proud of our exhibit this year. We've got several new artists, a few returning artists, and of course we still have the 3 People's Choice Award winners who all of those 3 sculptures just happen to be located on the promenade this year. So with that, I will, I do want to invite everyone, and I handed out postcards today. Thank you to the Michael Fry's team who helped us put this together. For the opening of the sculpture exhibit will be Wednesday, June 15th from 5 to 7. We're incredibly pleased to have the support of Pinstripes, who host this for us and donate hearty hors d'oeuvres. There's a cash bar. It's free and open to the public, so we would love to see a lot of people there. And with that, I'd like to move to my report. May is always the busiest month of the year for public art because we have the de-installation of our 10 sculptures and then the installation of typically 10 sculptures. But this month, we also had a wonderful opportunity to expand our working group of Public Art Edina. We interviewed, Michael Fry and myself interviewed 7 people who expressed interest in supporting us and actually being on our working group. And the truth is that we were supposed to choose 2 or 3, but we decided that we wanted to expand our group, so we took all of them. And I would like to share their names. So and this is an action item, so I'm going to be asking you the commissioners to approve these people who are really a great addition to public art. Joan O'Brien, Kevin Comodina, Gary Hilty, Peter Schimke, Britt Ingorn, Forrest Simonson, and Corey Schubert. So I would like to move that we accept these 7 people to the Public Art Working Group. And so that's my motion.
Do we need a second?
We already moved, so
Yeah.
second, yes.
Yes. Is there any further discussion? I will say that I had the fortunate opportunity to meet them. So I think we're very lucky to have these new people on your committee. So is there any other comments before we vote? Yes.
Barbara, I'm curious about just, and maybe this is a topic for a different occasion, but what's the process by which the artists are chosen? What's the timeline in the year? Is it a competition, or how?
It's not. I wouldn't say it's a competition. And it's not, the working group is open to any Edina residents. You have to be a resident of Edina. You do not have to be an artist. Not all of them are artists. Some of them are. But they represent some financial background, art background, business background, and educational background. And I think that that's a healthy mix of people. So it's morphing into a little bit different than what we've done in the past. In the past, it's not like commission members who are vetted by the city council beforehand. So in the past, anyone who has been shown interest in public art has been invited to attend a meeting or two, and then I bring their names to the commission to vote.
And the artists themselves, the sculptures, is what I'm interested in.
Sorry,
is how,
did I misunderstand your
how
question?
the sculptors and the artists of the public works are found and chosen.
Okay. Well, that's pretty simple. We send out a call, usually towards the end of January, and that is sent out to, if I'm not mistaken, Michael, it's almost 300 individual artists, art colleges, art schools, art institutions in the tri-state area or beyond even, certainly in the upper Midwest. And we invite them to enter 1 to 3 sculptures, and then the working group comes together typically in March, and we, Michael Fry and his team at the Art Center have posters with photographs of the submissions, as well as sizes, dimensions, material, and a little bit about the artist, although not the artist's name. So then we, as a working group, have a really good time talking about the pieces. Most people have a favorite, and then it's a process of elimination. And then we also welcome the 50th and France Business Association, who are part of the 50th and France 3 sculptures. They support us financially for that. So we have 2 representatives, Rachel Philman and another person who comes to help choose the sculptures. And then we look at, with the help of, again, Michael Fry, and we look at the dimensions and the pods or the squares or the spaces that we have at 50th and France, at Grandview Square, and the Promenade, which are our 3 locations currently, and we choose where they're going. That said, this year we've had a few changes because we realized we didn't have quite the right measurements, or actually one sculpture wasn't 600 pounds like it said in the submission. It was about 3,000 pounds. So we needed the help of Brian Olson and Gunnar and their machines and their people. And today, Larry Diekman, who's known as the 50th in France guy, he's just a wonderful asset and is always there helping out. And he was there today again. So I'm really proud of the working relationship that we have with city employees, not just Michael Fry, who obviously we love and he's a real support, comes to all our meetings, but the public work people are amazing. They're so amazing. I went to their open house last Saturday and it was really fun and interesting. So a little off topic, but I think it's a valid question, so thank you for asking that.
Thank you for that explanation.
Yeah.
We have a motion on the floor, so I'll ask for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The motion passes.
Thank you so much, and I'll try to be brief with my remaining 3 points. I'm pleased to say that I saw Judd Nelson today. He is the artist who did Slapshot, which is at Braemar Arena. And there was a GoFundMe campaign headed by City Councilwoman Ann Swenson, and that was successful. And we've actually paid Judd, he told me today, so I'm happy for that. The people at Braemar are in the process of fitting a base that's gives a little bit more protection. So they're doing that, and then it will be permanently installed just inside the building. Another thing that, by the way, for Slapshot, that was, the funds were raised by so many people giving $1, children giving $1, and some businesses giving $500, and so it was really a community effort. I was very, very happy. So I would ask everyone to mark their calendars for the Edina Art Fair coming up June 4th and 5th. And also Fall into the Arts, September 10th and 11th. These are two really great events for arts and culture in our community, and we'd love to see everyone there. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much for the very good report. Next on the agenda is Art on the Move. Commissioner Gunnis?
Yeah, so I'd like to tell you a little bit about a new working group that I will be chairing. It's called Art on the Move. The purpose of Art on the Move is to advise the Arts and Culture Commission on ways to increase awareness of local art and local artists in Edina. One area that we'll be focusing on is exploring the feasibility of mounting traveling exhibitions outside of the Edina Art Center. So every year, the Art Center receives many requests to help feature local artists on walls or small galleries or exhibition spaces in buildings around town that may include like community-owned buildings and gathering places or businesses or churches or places like that. So this group will be doing some strategic planning and thinking, potentially defining processes and then overseeing that process. Because it's called Art on the Move, I also am hoping that we can explore beyond just 2D and 3D art. I think it would be fabulous to start talking about collaborative art or community art, things of that nature too. So we'll begin by 2D and 3D art in spaces around the community center, and I think it'll be a really exciting group with some very dynamic discussions and paving some new paths for the Arts and Culture Commission and the arts community in Edina. So I would welcome anyone who's interested to apply. Applications are open right now, and you can go to Edina, Minnesota, edinamn.gov, and just look for advisory boards and commissions, and you'll find the application process there.
Does anyone have any questions? Oh, thank you very much. Music in Edina. Commissioner Ellis.
Thank you, Commissioner and Chair. Let's see. Music in Edina this summer is going to move into an attempt to have a little bit more of a local community support from bands that are familiar in our community and in our local parks. So at this time, we're scheduling concerts for July 24th. The June 10th concert is not going to occur. It's just too soon. We're going to move it back a little bit. So June 24th, July 15th, and the 29th, and then August 12th. And at this time, the bands that we have reserved are Colin Nelson and Blue Mood, and the Percolators, and Homeward Bound. And we have one more that we're kind of getting together with the dates, and that will be formalized here very quickly because we have to get our marketing out and get the information out to the community. Music in Edina is just a very small group of people. We would welcome anyone who would be interested in Music in Edina. Some of the purposes for Music in Edina is to coordinate and just increase the awareness of all the musical opportunities that Edina has to offer. And there are many, and we try to bring something new and different in the summertime. Although there's much to offer, we think that this is something that might be very much valued by the community. It will be a very informal opportunity for a concert this summer. Come and bring a picnic lunch and just enjoy some time listening to good music. Let's see.
Could you repeat those dates?
Oh, sure. June 24th, July 15th, and the 29th, and August 12th. They're all Friday nights, probably approximately 6 to 8 in that time frame.
And what parks are those going to be in?
That's still being decided, Ray. Part of it is looking at the needs of the band and what facilities have electricity and things that are ready to go for the band. And also looking at sports calendars so that we're not overlapping. Anybody have any further questions?
I have a question, a couple of things. One is, one's more logistical, the other's more artistic, but I'm wondering if we have any measure by which we can understand how many people are attending performances, or if it's kind of, if we eyeball that, or if it's anecdotal, or if we have any data or method by which we can easily collect that data. So that's one thing.
What we have, pretty informal, what we've been doing in the concerts previously, we started out with some, thank you, we started out with some concerts in Roslyn Park with the showmobile as kind of the bandstand for the band, and we basically counted attendance.
Sure.
And that's really our main way of taking a look at what people are enjoying and what we're doing. What makes it difficult is people come and go.
Sure.
And that's really the purpose of the evening. It's not static, it's something that is informal, and it needs to fit family schedules, so people do come and go. But I do think that's an important part of all of this, to see what people want and what they're looking for,
exactly.
is to have a way to get some sense of whether this appeals to the community.
Right.
And then the next thing would be related eventually, but the question at this point would be a way to perhaps broaden the genres of music presented. I guess part of our roles as commissioner is not only to be listening to what people might be able to express they want as individuals, as constituencies, but also to lead in that sense from our end of things. So it could be interesting eventually, not necessarily right away, but to seek out some jazz musicians, some classical musicians who have sort of that nice social engaging chops, which we all do have to have these days, to vary up the performances.
I think that's so important, and I'm so glad you brought it up, because one of the focus, or a major focus of our very small group, is to be very thoughtful about the types of music and the opportunities that we bring to the community, to just kind of help our awareness and say, you know, we don't have to fight the traffic to go someplace to hear really good music.
Exactly.
It's right here in our community.
Yes.
Anything else?
Anybody
We
else?
do have to fight traffic in Edina.
Yes, this summer, yes.
Any other questions? Thank you, Commissioner Ellis. Commissioner Myford, do you have any report on Ways and Means?
At this time, I don't have a report. Our next meeting will be sometime later in July.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't believe we have any correspondence or petitions, so now we have an opportunity for the chair to make a couple of comments, or anybody else that would like to. I would like to call to our attention that we were very fortunate that two of our members were honorees at the 37th Annual Volunteer Awards ceremony that Edina does, and it was Ray Myford and Kitty O'Day. So we're very proud of receiving those awards, and we're very grateful for all the work that they both did. Kitty has rotated off, but Ray is still here. And I particularly want to give a shout out to Barbara LaFleur for writing up the report, and it was excellent biography of both of those commissioners. And then I appreciate it because that was what when I presented the awards, I already had the written remarks. So I was very grateful for that, and you did a very nice job. And then I wanted to make a comment about the task force. I guess we really want to say thank you to all the people who were on the task force. It was a very important job. I'm very pleased with the work that was done. I think that the consultant team of HGA and Pros Consulting and Sutton were very responsive to the community comments, and they continually adjusted the plans to accommodate the comments that were made. And I think that also the city staff deserves a great big thank you. Ann Cattry and Susan Faust and our beloved Michael Fry. They really did an excellent job. And one of the benefits, I think, from the task force effort was being able to gather resource and data and analyze what a new art center really needs, what could be in a new art center. And I think that a lot of work was done on that, and that was very valuable, because we are committed, the Arts and Culture Commission, we are committed to a new art center in Edina. So does anybody else have any other comments?
Well, I would thank you for mentioning that. I think it's particularly important in this televised session that we ask the support for support from the community for that. So we're definitely very interested in having a new art center. One thing that I didn't mention in the report, because it actually wasn't a part of my written report, is just to look out for the third art-wrapped utility box, which is coming in late July, and it will be at the intersection of Metro Boulevard and Industrial Boulevard, right over by Public Works. It's a really fun art piece by an Edina artist. Michael, do you have the name of that artist? Off the top of my head, I didn't write it down.
Marnie Teppen.
Okay, so I think that you'll find when you drive by Metro and Industrial Boulevards later in July, you'll find a delightful new art-wrapped utility box. And those are not exactly cheap. They cost anywhere from $600 to $1,000, but this will be our third, and we have 3 new boxes on France Avenue that Brian Olson said we could wrap any time, and all we need to do is find the money.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from any other of the commissioners?
Sure. Given the status of Grandview, I appreciate the comments around an art center, and I think we've been committed as a commission to driving Grandview as the solution to an art center. But I think it's always important to remind the public that we are mostly around replacing the art center, regardless of the location or the vehicle for that, but that the current art center is clearly beyond its useful life. It's inadequate in all the ways that it has been documented, especially around access. So given that in the timing of where the city council is now with Grandview, I think we need to be cognizant of when are we going to re-engage in a different kind of conversation to move that agenda forward. It's been, as we all know, many years now that we've been waiting for Grandview to happen, and it doesn't sound, I wasn't part of the task force, but it doesn't sound like it's going anywhere anytime soon, so.
Well, maybe because I was on the task force, I'll respond just a little bit to that. I think that my impression was that it's a very interesting point. Things are about to happen, but there are still a few things that are in play. So I don't think that it's not going to happen. And I have to say, as a member of that task force, as we learned more and saw more drawings, and as this building came into focus, I would say that it's worth fighting for, to have our art center right at the heart of our community, at a very central location, in a building that would allow us to grow the art center programs, but put them in conversation with this active adult center and with a vibrant meeting space where high school students or people who just want to come and have lunch, with a cafeteria there, and with this event center that would fill a need that we don't have right now, an event center that could draw 250 people at night for an event, and they could also see the art and see the spaces where art is being made. And so I just feel like those elements all combined in a beautiful facility at the center of our community would really help to put arts and culture at the center of our community. I feel like we've invested so much in so many other elements of what it means to live and work and live in a community, and to put some money and focus on the arts at the center of our community would be invaluable. So I'm still strongly in favor of that concept, and I'm going to keep working to see that it happens, because I think our art center would be much more valuable, as I said, in conversation and in that dynamic environment.
Not being part of the task force, though it hasn't appeared from the outside that it's moving in, a
there are a
positive
lot of
direction.
hurdles.
Yeah.
There are a lot of challenges.
So that was the purpose of the question.
Yes.
Thank you. Director Fry, would you like to respond to Commissioner Suko's question?
There was not one point where any member of City Council didn't support a new center for the arts. I think everyone on council was pretty aware that the Art Center has served the city very, very well, and is in need of repairs. It's not ADA accessible or up to code. It's in a location that is maybe not optimal, though very beautiful. But there was never once, even the park board meeting that several of us attended. Park Board members were very supportive of a new art center in the city of Edina, as well as City Council.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I
Commissioner
had
Ellis?
just a question. There's always been this kind of underground discussion, I don't know if underground's the right word, but that wonderment whether or not the bus garage will come into play in some of this future consideration for building. Was there any discussion about this at the time when this report was discussed?
We spent a lot of time talking about the bus garage, the possibility of that, but we also had to remind ourselves that that was not the scope of the project, that the task force was set out and given some structure to look at the Grandview site only and really the north site of the Grandview site. So though we talked about it periodically, it really wasn't part of our focus on the study.
Okay.
I hope something light. Cheryl, in your testimony, you also came up with a good slogan for the effort, which is, you said, art in the heart. And of course, the word art is in the word heart, and it's art in the heart of Edina. So maybe a logo is in there too. And this is very much out of order, but I was also hoping, we're sitting in a really beautiful structure and building here in this room and in this entire City Hall. I hope it would also be a consideration as the work group works on Art on the Move. City Hall would be a beautiful venue for an exhibition. I'm sure that already happens, but maybe it doesn't.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Moving on to staff comments on the agenda, General Manager's report.
So each of you have received the General Manager's report. I just wanted to call out one thing, that our registration income is surpassing what we saw in 2015. We had a great year last year, and people are really interested in coming to take classes in all of the beginning studies of pottery, ceramics, drawing, and painting. There's a whole resurgence of people wanting to come out and learn how to do the fundamentals of these fine crafts, and so that's really wonderful to see. So the other thing, we have 83 summer camps starting up, so our building is going to change over here in about a week and a half, and the kids shall be descending upon us, and we're really looking forward to that. And I have been hiring new staff over the past several months. I had my office coordinator, Jeremy Lund, recently resign and is going to spend more time making art. He's a member of High Point Center for Printmaking. Melissa Melby has accepted that position, an internal candidate. I've hired 2 new customer service specialists at the front desk, and then our summer camp assistants. So we have a lot of training and a lot of preparation for summer as we turn over here in about a week and a half. We're just finishing our classes right now. I also wanted to thank our 2 student members, Farhia Osman and Olivia Chen. Olivia was a participant in our annual teen salon, and so she submitted a great piece of artwork to the exhibit that was featured at the Art Center. And, you know, our students are really valuable in that the comments that they offer are a very unique perspective, and so I just want to thank both of them. Farhia won an award at the Volunteer Appreciation Dinner back in April as well, so thank you for your service, and thanks to all of you for your service. We have a really exciting exhibit coming up that I'm proud of. Our gallery right now is filled with the garden show and sale, so items that are related to a garden theme, if you want to put items indoor or outdoors. And then starting July 14th, we have an exhibit called Over the Sofa. And what we're looking for, many of you may have received letters from us that we're seeking artwork that you have purchased and members of the community have purchased for your home and have placed not only over your sofa, but maybe elsewhere in your home. And but we want to see what people in Edina are putting in their homes, and we're hoping that people will lend us 1 or 2 pieces of art, and we're going to feature for the entire summer pieces that we've reached out to Minnesota Wild hockey players, Minnesota Vikings, the mayor, people who are doing janitorial work at Southdale. We are just reaching out to everybody to see. Everybody puts art up in their home, and so we want to see what's out there. So hopefully we're getting some great responses so far, and I'm really excited about that exhibit. It's being curated by Linda Kautsky with the Edina Art Center staff, so we're really excited to work with Linda on this exhibit. So hopefully the community will take part and come out for our opening on July 14th, and then we're going to have, it's not necessarily a silent auction, but many artists are going to be doing small paintings that we'll have up for raffle, and I'm going to do a couple of paintings as well. So I hope you can join us. So
That sounds really interesting and very exciting. Does anybody have any questions? Any additional comments? I think we're ready to adjourn. Before we get the motion to adjourn, I just want to thank all the commissioners for this very good meeting and a lot of good information, and I really appreciate the effort that you put into it. Could I have a motion for adjournment?
I move we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This meeting is adjourned.